Today we're solving equations containing decimals. So in chapter 2, lesson 5, we solved equations for the first time. So now we're solving equations that have decimals. So just for review, let's go over what is our goal when we're solving an equation. Isolate the variable. This means that we want the variable by itself on one side of the equal sign. Step 1. Use inverse operations. So the inverse of plus is minus, the inverse of minus is plus, the inverse of multiplication is division, and the inverse of division is multiplication. And step 2, what you do to one side, you do to the other. So if we have to solve x minus 3.84 equals 7.2, what we have to do is isolate the variable. We want the x by itself. So we've got minus 3.84. What is the inverse of minus 3.84? Plus 3.84. What you do to one side of the equal sign, you do to the other. So plus 3.84. When we're adding decimals, we line up the decimals. So x is equal to 0 plus 4, 4, 8 plus 2, 10, 11.04.
Oh, so that it's
If we have y plus 20.51 is equal to 26. Our goal is to isolate the variable. That means we want y by itself. We have to use inverse operations. What's the inverse of plus 20.51? Minus 20.51. What you do to one side, you do to the other. We're subtracting, so we have to line up our decimals. Put in zeros. So we have to borrow from 6. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. Bring down the decimal. 7. 5. 5 minus 0 is 5. So 5.49 is equal to y. If we have to solve, w divided by 3.9 is equal to 1.2. Our goal is to isolate the variable. That means we want w by itself. The inverse operation of division is multiplication. So times 3.9 times 3.9. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So we can say 1.2 times 3.9. Do we have to line up the decimals?
No.
No. When we're multiplying, we count how many decimal spaces. So 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 1 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. And how many decimal places? 2. So w equals 4.68. If we have to solve 4 equals 1.6 times c, our goal is to isolate the variable. That means we want c by itself. What's the inverse operation of multiplication? Divide by 1.6, divide by 1.6. 4 divided by 1.6. We need to move the decimal once. That means we need to move the decimal once. 16 goes into 40 how many times? 2. 2. So let's try 16 times 2. 32. 16 goes into 80 about how many times? 5 probably. 16 times 5, yes, 80. That means C is equal to 2.5. Let me rewrite it. 2.5 is equal to C, just because it looks me.
C equals 2.5.
Yes, you can also write it as C equals 2.5. It means the same thing.